Microsoft Bing SEO versus Perplexity SEO optimization showdown. This is the second version. Thank you for being here, Giovanni, and everyone else that's going to be coming into the room. I hope you are all safe, warm, and doing well as well. This is going to be a very exciting topic that we will discuss and get to know more about, especially knowing exactly what you're coming in for when you're looking for information like this. I know that I sent an email last week and I asked the people, what would you say is your go-to search engine? And surprisingly, there were two or three that were tied. There was Google, there was Perplexity, and there was Claude. Yes, those were the ones that tied. Welcome, Curtis and Ayana. So they tied. And when I noticed that, it now got me thinking that because people are using different platforms for different reasons, then they want to know how they can show up online for those specific key terms. And I felt like this would be the perfect way to do it. Welcome, Millie and Leslie. So using this is a very good way to build your capacity online by focusing majorly. Hey, Warfield, welcome to the room. You start thinking about your trust signal, your domain signal, your authority signal, all the signals that are going to come into play. So we're going to talk about this today. Yesterday, I talked about Google SEO versus ChatGPT SEO. And I broke it down, the difference between the two. So you can go to wedon'tplaypodcast.com and listen to it on your favorite podcast player, or you can listen to the replay here. And today I thought about it and I said, okay, I'm going to use Perplexity and Bing because I usually talk about Microsoft and what it means and why it's the way it is. But I felt like it would deserve to have its own room, because if ChatGPT has its own conversation, Perplexity should have its own conversation. I remember when I signed up for Perplexity the first time, and this was early days, and ChatGPT was there as well. There was something that really caught my attention. This was in 2023. I used Perplexity, and the responses I was getting were very different from ChatGPT 3.5 at the time in 2023. So I was looking at the two of them and I said, okay, I know the way they're going to start giving out information will be definitely different, which is good for research. And at the same time, when it comes to SEO in itself, there's going to be a shift in the way people search. So I look at Microsoft Bing, I look at Perplexity, and I look at Microsoft with its, I'll call it third party or social media platform, LinkedIn. Because if you're on LinkedIn, you're technically on Microsoft. So if you use Perplexity, then if you use LinkedIn, Perplexity will be a good place for you to show up if you have content on LinkedIn about your topic of interest. Now, when you have a website attached to it, it's even better because your website now has an author profile, and that author profile has a social media card, including the LinkedIn account that you're connected to. Welcome, GB and Hitoshi. So you're building capacity on Google through the signals of LinkedIn, of Microsoft, of ChatGPT, of Perplexity. I'm going to talk about cloud SEO. That will be the next one. And I might bridge it with Brave or DuckDuckGo. I'll see. We'll see how it goes. But when you look at these two, there's a major difference that I want you to see when it comes to identifying the difference between these two. When you look at Microsoft Bing, right? Microsoft Bing is like Google search. It's like Google. Welcome, Chris. When you have Microsoft Bing imported with Google Search Console connected, especially if you have a new website. It's one of the best places that you can thrive, because this is the intricate reason why. I know there are different reasons and you could apply them in different ways, but this is the core reason. This is the root reason why. If you have a new website and you connect to Bing, Bing has signals and authoritative value, which connects you to Google. So the more you show up on Bing, the more Google recognizes you from Bing. And if you import your Google Search Console to Bing from Google within Bing Webmaster Tools, which is free, your website now has both sitemaps on two different search engine servers. So Google is one and Bing is another. So when you have a new website and you're posting to both Google and Bing, Bing sees you as a new product or as a new link or as a new website and signals to Google and says, hey, Google, we have a link here that makes sense. So Google's going to check their index and see that it's the same as the same one that's submitted to Bing, and that's going to match. It's going to make a tie, or it's going to make a connection. Now, when it does that, the next thing that happens is that Google now gives you signal response. So now you have a website that's on Google. You have a website that's on Microsoft. You have a website that's now on Perplexity. If somebody's talking about your business or what you have within your business, that's where it can show up on. Now, it's not a cookie cutter where you can just say, oh yeah, I just got to do this and that, and that's it. It's not technically the way I said it, but it's fundamentally the way it's been presented, because every website has its own business, industry, level of service. Is it product? Is it service-based? So there are different things that you want to think about as you're creating content for people. Welcome, Nongfa. So you create the expression with people on these platforms to build tenacity by creating more content for them to get when they find your website that's relevant to them. And one of the best ways you can do it is not just by having a website and you connect it. That's great, but you need to use that connection, because you can be connected to a lot of people or connected to a lot of things. Your power could be connected, but you're not using it. So the connection is not the problem. It's the implementation through the connection. So when you look at Microsoft Bing and your website is on Microsoft and you have a sitemap that is also being indexed through Microsoft, those are good signals and good traffic effects for you. I mean, think about this. Let me just give you like an analogy that would make sense if you look at it this way. Why is it that when you read an article on Google, or you go to any website or web page, welcome to Rabi, and you click an image or you click a link and that takes you to somebody's website because you want to learn about something? Now, when you look at the end or the beginning of that article, you're going to see an author profile, and you're also going to see social media links. Those social media links are links that are externally connected to these third-party sites. So if LinkedIn has your name as a profile, has your company as a profile, and those are two separate links, and now those links are on your website, and your website is connected to Google and Microsoft, now you're creating a language bridge, if I can call it that way. It's not a barrier anymore, it's a bridge, because you're bridging different websites that are independently interconnected so that your business is also gaining momentum within those platforms. Because if it's LinkedIn and you post content on LinkedIn, there's an author profile, it's a blog that's ranking on Google. Because that author profile has a series of blogs that have been published, not just one, not just two blogs. You're blogging either as a company name or you're blogging as an author profile as your name. So if it's connected to your profile or your company profile, those links are still being connected back into the algorithm. So if somebody's asking about a topic or tell me a podcast about this, like for me, if you ask ChatGPT or Perplexity or Cloud or any AI system or any AI tool, any AI platform that you use to use your AI search, artificial intelligence wise, you can ask them or ask the platform, what are the best Pinterest SEO podcasts out there? And my podcast, the We Don't Play podcast show, shows up. So you can do a live test and chat GPT it or Perplexity it or Claude it so that you can see that. You can even Google it and see that's where it's coming from. So because it's on Google, it's not hard for it to be on chat GPT. It's not hard for it to be on Perplexity because it's coming from those profiles that have already been interconnected back into the source. So the same thing applies for you. If it's your business, if you're creating content, think about content pillars and content clusters, right? If you have a pre-purchase and a post-purchase intent, then that's where most people come to search engines to look for information. So if someone's going to Perplexity, they're mostly going there because they want to do some research, right? If they're going to ChatGPT, they're probably going there because they want to be a little creative. If they're going to Cloud, they're going to be a little bit more within the coding side, within the more structured side. There's a lot more that's happening with Cloud. So they all have their own vibes and they also have their own browsers. I've talked about ChatGPT has a browser called Atlas for Mac users, right? Why is it Mac? Safari, there's Google Chrome. Google Chrome is about to release something, or even I'll say it this way, Google itself is about to release Google Disco. I've talked about it before. So Google Disco is going to be, welcome Becky, is going to be like ChatGPT Atlas, and it's going to be like Perplexity Comet. Perplexity Comet is the AI browser for Perplexity. So we're looking at browsers, we're looking at websites, we're looking at softwares, we're looking at businesses. So why I'm giving you these very extreme ends of both of the surfaces is so you can see as a business, where do you want to show up online? If you have a podcast, connect your LinkedIn, put your name there, highlight your name, and tag your LinkedIn to your name. So when somebody clicks on your name on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, they can click on that link and it will take them to your profile. What you've just done is that you've created a link between your name and your context. Not even your content, your context. Because if your context is always talking about topics that are related to your topic of interest or topic of expertise, then if somebody's going to look for a topical expert, I'll say like a topical expert in some specific niche, they're going to look for your name, but they won't find your name first. They're going to find the information they're looking for first. So it becomes even easier for them to say, okay, I need who are the top experts in this area. They're going to get a bunch of names. They don't know any of the people that are listed. Now, if they don't know, they're going to search everyone's name, and how they're going to determine who they're going to pick is based on how AI also responds back to them. Because these days, the trust signal has gone up for AI. If you tell Perplexity to send you something or give you recommendations and you get 3 recommendations, you're going to pick those 3, or you're going to choose from those 3 without you having to go to Google to search for the same 3. So what you're getting on Perplexity is a mirrored image of what you'd have gotten on Google, because now Google is giving you more of a listicle format, a summarized format. You're now getting in Perplexity as the same thing, but within a different API system, right? Because when you think about Perplexity, it's Perplexity bot. Bing have their own native web indexing tool or source. So when you look at these two, it's different. Perplexity AI is Perplexity bot. Just like the way there's Google.com, there's Google bot. Just like there is Bing, there's Bing bot. So these bots are robots that are tracking and crawling and indexing and rendering and ranking, all the stuff that we talk about with SEO, all the fancy stuff. All the stuff in the back end is what's happening in that context. So if a Perplexity bot is talking to a Bing bot and telling Google bot that your website is credible because you have a LinkedIn account, you have blogs out there, you have newsletters, you have podcasts, you have books, you have events, you have case studies, you have services, you just have things that make sense. You have videos, you have audios, you have excerpts, you have an email community, you have an email address, you have a website. That's very important too. That already gives you credit because your website has your author profile on it, it now gives you a room to build more. So when you look at these two, you're not trying to say, should I be on Perplexity or should I be on Bing? The goal is to be on every platform possible because you don't know which platform is going to get you the most return at that time, right? This month, you might have Perplexity giving you high results. Next month, it might be ChatGPT. The next month, it might be Cloud. So you're not going to be chasing after the algorithm. You need to be creating for the algorithm. How do you create for the algorithm? By focusing on topics, answering those topics, right? Because when you look at Perplexity, you're getting in-depth research. You say, do this. It's going to do everything that you need to do, from a marketing plan to a case study to analyzing reports to mining data. That's great. You can do that with Perplexity. You can do that with the AI tools. With Microsoft Bing, it's more concise. You're going to get results because it's a results page. It's traditional search engine marketing. So now when we think about AI, artificial intelligence, search marketing, it's different. But everything that we're doing with AI has to start off with traditional. Just like there's no way you can drive an automatic car if you didn't learn stick shift. But that doesn't mean if you didn't learn stick shift, you wouldn't be able to drive a car that's automatic. You would still drive a car that's automatic if you learn how to drive an automatic car. The thing is, when you have two different scenarios, analog, digital, but I'll say like 50% or 100%, they do the same thing. Then you realize that when you have a split in between the two, and you now realize that, okay, this is not what's better. Should I be on ChatGPT or should I be on SEO? That's not the question. The question is the person that's looking for a solution finding me in their place of interest? Because at this point, the ball is in their court. Because you can't tell them where to go to search for your product. They would have to do their research to find your product in their network, in their database. So it changes the whole scope as opposed to you being the one to say, yeah, click me here, click here. It's now gone to who's the most relevant, who's the most resourceful, who's the most convenient, who's the most empowering, who's the most inspiring, who's the most revealing. Those are the things that people are going to look out for, because when they start learning more about how they can be better with their platforms and how they can yin it better, it gets better for you too. So look at the core strength between Perplexity and Bing, and you use that as a yin yang to make sure that you have a much better result authoritatively. Now, when it comes to trust signals, this is a big deal because Perplexity, ChatGPT, Claude, they are going to recommend citations that they trust. And the trust is going to be big based on connections, right? So if you have connections and you're building based on trust, your goal is to look at the way you're getting responses based on the trust signals that you're receiving. And the only way you can get high trust signals is by building links. It's so important to build links. Building links is like building houses online. That's what I normally say. I treat websites like land, like property, right? You have 5 domains. That means you have 5 plots, right? Each plot can have their own website. They can have their own operations. They can have their own business model. So the brand archetype could change depending on how you're able to connect with people. So now if you have a domain and this domain is a website that has information that you can build trust with, that means you have location pages, you have service pages, contact pages, about pages. You have pages that help people learn more about your business. And then you now create blogs to support those pages. You now start creating a spiderweb effect. Because if I talked about this, and I just did this with a client recently, and it's so exciting because they are doing so well. And this is actually something I'm very excited to talk about too. just to give you an idea of how this plays into everything. When we looked at the first month and the second month, after we connected everything, the Google Search Console, Bing Webmasters, within the first month, we didn't get a lot of information, but we got enough to kickstart what is happening now. So we were able to read the data and see, what are people searching for? How are they finding the website? Are the pages even trackable? Are they indexable? Because you can have 1 million pages on your website, but none of them are being seen on Google. And about 92.7% of websites are not indexed on Google. In other words, when you look at the amount, there are 1.1 billion websites. So when you really do the math and you now divide those into pages that are being seen, Google can pick 2 pages out of your 10,000 page website, or 5,000 pages out of your 2 million page website, or pick them all if it's done correctly. So when you start thinking about your website and you ask yourself, is this page indexed? Is it submitted? Is it on Google? You may think that it's on Google and it's not giving you a green check mark, right? When that green check mark is not there, then it's not seen. And that's the biggest thing, because when you start dealing with websites that are in the millions, in the thousands, in the hundreds of thousands, it starts to change because there's something called crawl budget. So when you start creating content and you start building domain authority because you're building capacity within your own domain, now when you start going to Microsoft Bing, going to Perplexity, you can start seeing yourself on those platforms because you've created that capacity from social media, from your website, from sending out emails. So those trust signals go up really, really high. So when you think about Microsoft Bing, what are they looking for? The speed of your website. How fast is your website? You may have the best content, but if that content is not contenting, if I say it like that, it's not going to go to the extent for someone to see it, because they're spending 5 seconds more than they could have spent reading the title of your episode. So the goal is to build momentum with your podcast, with your website, with your books, with your blogs, with your social media, and reference your website too. Because the more you're able to post your website link on all these platforms, facebook.com, instagram.com, threads.com, was it threads.net, x.com, all these social media platforms, tiktok.com, these are all domains. Yes, we treat them as social media, but they're domains, they're websites, they're businesses, they're corporations. So when you now look at it not just as an app or as an algorithm, and you're looking at it as a connection and a way to build capacity, then these platforms are very important to look at. So now with our clients, they're seeing more results because they have less pages that are not indexed and more pages that are indexed. So we can see those numbers because when Google is looking at these pages, you're like, okay, is this page worth it? Is it valuable? Is it giving information? Because Google is not going to say no. Google has enough space for everyone. But the problem is what you're delivering and what you're giving, is it qualitative enough for them to give their own customer your product? Because when you go to google.com, you're going to look for something and you'll find a product that is going to lead you to a website that is not a Google website. It is somebody's domain. So you're using Google's domain to access another person's domain. So it's like an interchangeably connected surface, because you can find somebody's content on Google, go to their website, go back to Google, and then go to another page on their website because they have something similar, or stay on their website because now you can navigate to other pages within their website. So when you look at Microsoft Bing, the pages have to be fast, right? Because when you have these fast websites and it loads good, both on mobile, on desktop, on tablet, and they're breadcrumbs, that's something I also want to talk about real quick. Breadcrumbs. It's like another way of saying, how do you have information that the algorithms can scan in bite-sized format? Just like if you like something, let's say you want to eat a meal and you love what you smell, it smells good, the food smells good. Before you want to eat it, you get a sample and you try it for a bite or 2 bites. That tells you exactly what that pot or what that plate is going to taste like. So that's the same way, and I know it's lunchtime, that's the same way that the breadcrumbs are like little snippets of your content that the bots, Perplexity bot, Bing bot, Google bots, whichever bot out there is botting, is going to use your breadcrumbs as a way to identify what the context of that full page will be. So if it now eats it up and says, that tastes nice, okay, we can do more of this, and it scans the whole page and it finds more and more and more, because there are links, there are things that have already given them the green light, they're already eligible, then you just get a green light. And when that happens, that page is on forever. And the thing about websites that I see that most people don't see, and I love for you to see it too, is that Google is so unsaturated, yet it's one of the biggest search engines in the world. You can spend a lot of money on Google ads, on Facebook ads, Meta ads, Pinterest ads, LinkedIn ads, but imagine spending time instead of money first and saying, okay, how do I attract the people that are looking for my brand? What are the questions that they're asking? If I was my client today, what would I be searching for me? When I'm able to answer that question, then I can now find the answers and then replicate those responses in form of my website to give the same responses to people. Instead of them going to a third-party website, they're coming to mine. Welcome, Lauren. So now you're creating a very safe balance between creating content for people, welcome, man, and you're creating content for people to now see your content over time because you've posted it once upon a time. That's literally what it means, once upon a time, because that time is stamped. It was published at this time. So if I look at this article 2 months from now, and I'm looking for something that's within my location, and I was already there before you asked for it or before you searched for it, you're going to trust me because Google trusted me first. That's how it is. So if Perplexity trusts me first now because I'm the first response to your question on the Perplexity prompt, that's because I've been talking about it somewhere else outside Perplexity. And if I'm on Microsoft, and let's say I have a website that has already been connected with the author profile that we've talked about today, and you have a LinkedIn profile that you use actively and you're building, it shows a lot. Like for me, with my LinkedIn, I'm closing in on 18,000 connections now. And I put out a poll once a week. And it's actually interesting to see the results. I've done a poll today, and the question of the day is, or the question of the week is, what's your go-to search engine? And I put Google, I put 5 options: Google, Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and Claude. And right now, before I came in the room, there were a couple of people that responded. And let me just go back in there and see. I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, now there are 15 votes. So it keeps growing. Last week, let me check. I want to just share with you this because we're talking about Perplexity. We're talking about Microsoft. So I want to be very literal as well. Okay, so last week I did a poll. The poll was, what's your go-to first drink in the morning? And I had 143 votes. I put 4 options: water, coffee, tea, juice, and that went off to the roof as well. So it's very interesting that I had 62 impressions, but I had 143 votes. So you wonder, how does that make sense? You have more votes than impressions, so how did the people see it? So when you start thinking about these questions, it's something to really consider. And I'm going to put the link in the chat for us so that we can click on it. Yeah.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Yeah, I just put the link in the chat. If you're on LinkedIn, you can click the link in the chat. So creating content on Microsoft, or creating content on Perplexity, or creating content on Bing, or creating content on LinkedIn is all starting from your website. then to your profile. And then if your profile has LinkedIn connected as one of the options for Microsoft purposes, because Microsoft and LinkedIn is one, because LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, then you're now operating under a technical fundamental procedure. You're not just guessing. This is the actual foundation. So when you're able to know that I want to show up on Perplexity to my clients for a certain thing, then social media wise, because Perplexity is also citing brands or websites that are attached to social media. And let's say I use LinkedIn and I have newsletters, I have posts, I'm putting content out there. That's how people will be able to find your content and they'll be able to connect with you long term. So when you now connect with people long term and you're now consistently posting online and you're building with them, it helps. And you're getting anywhere between 3,000 impressions to 10,000 impressions a week on LinkedIn. How do you manage that? How do you turn that into connections, into actual conversations? Because it's all this metric sounds nice, but if I've not talked to one person or made one connection or actually made sense of the conversation, then of what benefit would be that impression or would be that click if it didn't go past the click? It's like me talking to you today or you having a conversation with your friend and you talk about something and then it has no relevance or any type of reference to the next conversation you're going to have. It's kind of like you just wasted time. So in order not to waste that time, Welcome Star, is to build that relationship model where you're using LinkedIn to talk about your business. Even products out here, like big companies, right? All the Fortune 500 companies that we know today. If you look at these companies and you hear them announcing things, most times you'll see them announcing it on LinkedIn first. Just check it out. If it's a VP of a company, if it is a CMO, a CTO, it could be the president of the company, you're going to see LinkedIn. They're not going to go to Instagram and post a reel or TikTok and dance for you. You might get that if it's creative enough to, hit that goal when it comes to messaging. But when you think about the structure, it starts off with LinkedIn. So from LinkedIn, you're now creating connections because on the back end, you have a website, you have a business. Welcome, Fabian. You have a business that is now showing up on Microsoft because you put your website on the search console. So there's something also called Microsoft Clarity. I'm going to talk about that one specifically one day. Microsoft Clarity, it's a free heat map and a session recording tool that Microsoft gives you for free. For free, guys. I'm serious. For free. Go to Clarity. Stars like, yeah. Go to clarity.microsoft.com and connect your website for free to Microsoft Clarity off of your website, and then also have Bing connected. So don't do Clarity first, do Bing first. Actually, do Google first. So go to Google Search Console, connect your website. After you connect your website, go to Bing, Webmaster Tools, import your profile from Google, submit your sitemaps to both of them, and then you now go to Clarity under Microsoft Bing on the bottom left-hand corner. I can see it with my eyes because I have a visual mind, so I can literally see it, a photographic memory. So I can see it at the bottom left-hand corner. And once you click on that, you're going to see it there. Boom. You're right in there. You get started. You connect it through your Google Analytics if you have that too. And you see why Microsoft Clarity is asking you to connect to Google Analytics. It's because they talk to each other. It's not rocket science. So when you're seeing a Microsoft product asking you to import a Google product or to connect a Google product, then it tells you a lot about the software and the API and the machinery and the technical setup of the foundation. It's right there. So I love to be very clear with these things so that you're able to see that it's not just fancy keywords and prompts that make this happen. If you have these fundamentals down, and put to a position that allows you to grow, you are going to be on your way to great strides. Whether you use a Wix website, a Shopify website, WordPress website, it doesn't matter, a Squarespace website, we handle them all, we do them all. And if you need your help marketing wise, if you need help specifically with your website to know exactly how to gain visibility, if you have a business, whether online purely or in person, and you have a location, and if you have events that you want to put on Eventbrite, if there's anything that you're doing marketing wise, email marketing wise, that's going to help you move the needle for people to discover your brand, your product, please click the link above or in the description and get on a call with me. And also you get emails from me too, at least once or twice a month at the very least, because I always make sure I send one email, because that one email is going to tell you a lot about what's happening in this month. And I've already talked about it over last week. And the reason why you're seeing this room open is because of last week's email. So everything you see me do or hear me say is not just because I decided to talk about this today. It's because there's been research that has been done prior to this happening, so that when I come back, I'm giving you evidence and I'm able to help you discover more. So last week, I sent a poll to the email list and I asked, hey guys, what would you want us to talk about as far as your go-to search engine? I put Google there, which is still there as number one. Perplexity and Cloud were also there matching with Google. So I knew that, okay, if Cloud and Perplexity are matching with Google, that means people have either overexhausted on ChatGPT and they're using other platforms to discover how best it can be personalized for them, or they want to just not use it at all because they would just rather not. So it just depends on where the person is. But when I see that Cloud, Perplexity, and Google are matching, I said, okay, I'll start off with ChatGPT because that's what everybody uses, quote unquote. Not everyone uses ChatGPT. Now it's come to a point where people are personalizing it. I don't even use ChatGPT myself. So I use it to maybe search for something or maybe turn it into a picture, but I wouldn't use it, like my screen time is less than 1%. So when I think about AI tools and platforms to use, they're tools that I use, and that they're very specific to data, like to the point where I do source coding. Like if you look at my Instagram story today, you'll see what I'm talking about. I've been doing a lot of coding all day with AI and SEO, putting things together so that it can match all the algorithms for a client. And this is stuff that is getting clients to get $10,000 days, $14,000 days. That happened last week with a client. And that's what, after 4 months of applying SEO, and on the 4th month, we struck and we were like, okay, finally, because it's something that took a while. And I was like, yeah, let's look at the seasons. And then eventually that happened. So I said, okay, now that's happened, we need to do more, because we're not going to sit down and just chill. Now it's giving us a signal that if it's happened before, it can happen again. And we're so early in the year, because the client, they say that last year, that type of sale that they made would happen in April. But right now it's happening in January. So I told them the reason why it's happening now is because we planned in October. So everything with SEO is research. Thank you for the 100-star. Everything is research based. So we did the research, and they have about 4 or 5 locations across the US. So it's like, how do you match up and how do you commercialize? How do you create a bigger transactional value? How do you increase your leads per acquisition? How are you able to think about your acquisition costs and also decrease your cost per click so that you're able to do it long term? They don't even run ads. We're doing SEO. But I know that, yes, $5,000, $10,000, once you make those investments, it turns into those points. It could start from $2,500. It could start from $500 just to get an audit. It could start from creating things that will help you to know, okay, is this what I need to do? Okay, let me invest my time wisely so I'm not spending time and just doing things haphazardly. Because right now with SEO, the best thing that you have to think about is your season, right? You know in your business when you have a high peak season and a low peak season. That's what I asked the client. And now we're doing amazingly well. And it's literally every day is just, it's beautiful, because they never had sales on their website. They would make sales on Amazon, but they weren't making sales on their website. So you can have a business on Etsy, you can have a business on Standstore, you can have a business on Linktree, you can have a business on Milkshake. I'm not saying don't have that. Please do. Like, I champion you to do it. But don't forget that your website is going to be that proprietary first-party data acquisition asset that you will need as you build your business year over year. We're in January 2026. Close to the next week or two, we're going to be in February 2026. So if you look at this month, what have you done this month? Like for me, this month, I've released about 13 episodes on my podcast. Last year was 37 or 73 episodes. Now we are over 610 episodes published in 160 countries. And I know that I'm going to hit 700 before August, because that's when we're going to be 7 years with the show. So I've seen it. And now the podcast is in the top 20,000 out of 4 million podcasts in the world. So when I look at these numbers and it's real-time data, I'm like, hey, there's no way I can be seeing all these things and not telling you about it, because I want you to be able to see it for yourself and also see how you can get there too. Whether it's a website, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a link, that's where you're able to see yourself shine, because you can do it too. So looking at Bing, looking at Perplexity, looking at SEO, the goal is to make sure that you're not just showing up, because the reason why these clients are doing well, and I'm so excited for them, because I learn more from them than they learn from me and my team, 100%, because I learned so much about their business. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is nice. Okay, how does this work with this? So we now start doing raw mining data planning, and we're able to now do a roadmap. So that way we're able to know, okay, you don't just write blogs, because you can write a blog, but how is the blog structure? Because there are some blogs that will show up on ChatGPT and there's some blogs that will show up on Google. And they can show up on both. But because one has a specific format to the other, then one is going to do better than the other on one of the other platforms because of the structure of the design of the blog. So, and there are about 8 different types of blogs. So I won't even go into that. But the mission is to make sure that you're building a structural format that your website can now be able to create something called a trust signal. Even with podcasts, there's something called a listen score, right? If your listen score is down, it's down. It's like an IMDb rating. That's why I always give analogies, because I don't want things to sound complicated or technical, because they shouldn't be. They should be understood. So if you look at your visibility score with podcasting, it ranges from 0 to 10. So if you are at, let's say, a 1, compare that to a movie that has an IMDb rating of 1. If you had a movie that was an IMDb rating of 1, you may not watch that movie. So that's the same equivalent balance or equilibrium I can put against a podcast when you're looking out for the value or exchange of the show. So if the visibility score for a show that is doing so well is at an 8, let's say the IMDb rating for this movie is an 8, then you're most likely going to watch this show or watch this movie or watch this series, because it's giving you a high rating because other people have valued it or have accredited it or have experienced it before you did. And that's why there's something called Rotten Tomatoes when you look at movies. So when you look at audio and video, a movie is film, and audio can be, a podcast could be audio and video, but primarily it's audio because a podcast is stemmed from what Steve Jobs talked about in 2005. Podcasting equals to iPod plus broadcast. That's why the word podcast is podcast. So when you now look at podcasts out there and you look at your website, you look at your social media, you look at your search engines, you look at your LLM for visibility. So LLM Visibility, large language model visibility, allows your business to gain momentum on these platforms we're talking about today, like Perplexity, like Claude, like Grok, like Meta, like Google. There's going to be Google Disco coming very soon. So all these things are to say that when you're building your business, don't just think about Google, because there are over 52.1 billion searches a day on the internet, and there are 1.1 billion websites on the internet. So if there are more platforms or more searches than websites, what does that tell you about structure? What does that tell you about trust and signals and ethics? So these are the things to really think about today. So I've mentioned it, and the major thing that I want you to take from today's room and today's discussion is that you can be on both of these platforms. None is over the other. They just complement each other. So when they complement each other, it's just a better way for you to now have a better response, because when you have Google, it means that you have a structured page. Unstructured pages don't have headings. Structured pages have headings. That's like one example. So when you have a structured page, and now even a more structured page or a well-structured page, right, from a grade B to a grade A or a grade A to an A+, would be having schema, right? If it's an article, let there be article schema, right? If it's an event, let there be event schema, right? Because there are prices in there. So that if it's $, you know that, okay, it's American US dollars, or it's Canadian US dollars. If it's pounds, it's British pounds. That's going to be schema, because that schema is currency and symbol. And it's also telling you exactly by location how people are searching based on the engines they are scoping with. Somebody can be on google.co.uk, you could be on google.com. So there are different search engines. Don't just think about Google as one. Google has so many patterns and so many API systems working concurrently. So if you look at the same thing with Microsoft Bing, it's the same thing. So Microsoft Bing in itself has its own way of searching. That's why when you go to LinkedIn and you look for searches, you can even go to the search box now and look for something, and you can actually get results. So if you look at those results on Perplexity, and the results you're getting on Perplexity are leading you to LinkedIn, that says a lot about how your LinkedIn structure looks like. Same thing for Microsoft Bing. You may not be, let me say it this way, just to make this clear. You may not be on Bing because you're maybe on Google or even Perplexity normally. But because your website is on Bing, that is giving your website signal authority and domain authority over time, because you're recognized as a brand to Microsoft. You're recognized as a brand to Google. Thank you for the congrats. You said many congrats. Thank you, Star. Appreciate you. So these things are very, very, very important to look into. So when you look at the optimization showdown between these two, know that it's not a matter of which one is better than the other. It's how can you use both of them to complement each other. It's like saying who's better, man or woman. That's not even a conversation to begin with. We need each other. We need to complement each other, because that's what's going to make us one. It's half and half to one. So we're full, right? We're able to come together. If it's 100% plus 100%, that's 200%, because we're bringing our fullness, our wholesomeness together as one. So the same thing applies to your website. If you bring your full website to the full ecosystem on Google, the full ecosystem on Microsoft, the full ecosystem on Perplexity, the full ecosystem on ChatGPT, and you start putting yourself on these platforms, and not because you just have a website that has 5 pages or 10 pages. It's because you have pages that have URLs that are linking to web links that have web pages within the context of the topic of interest. And how will you know that's interesting is because when Google is looking at these files, it's scanning them in HTML. That's why it's literally decentralized. Every website you see today is HTML, hypertext markup language. That is what LLM is reading. That's what the API is reading. That's what the algorithm is reading. So if we're all speaking the same language in English, then wherever you are in the world, you can understand what I'm saying. So that's the same way if somebody is understanding that algorithm language within the bot of build, then it's going to be the same build across the surface. So even if I bring an MP3 or an MOV or an MP4 or a PDF or a JPEG or a PNG, whatever that file extension is, it has already been standardized as to operate in a specific type of way. So if you now tell Perplexity, give me 3 articles that talk about this, or give me 3 podcasts that talk about this, they're going to scan through those extension files. and then give you the sources based on the platforms of choice that they find trustworthy, because they're not going to give you a platform that they don't trust first. So for them to have a best or the best experience for you, they need to create the best experience for themselves. So when they give you the best experience, you have a better experience when you keep coming back every time. So Microsoft Bing SEO is technically a way for you to show up on Bing.com, which is good, right? People search on Bing. Not everybody does, but the ones who do find you relevant there. Now, if you have your content there and you're also on LinkedIn, that's a win-win. If you're on Perplexity, that's a win-win-win. So it's a matter of placement. Don't think about what you got to do on these platforms. Place yourself on these platforms. When we work with clients, the first thing we do, our very first call, is to set up your ecosystem online. We don't write any articles. We don't do any research until all that is set up, because once the research starts coming, we need to know what buckets to fill. We can't do research and then we just have spilt milk. So we need to make sure that everything is done well, meticulously, so that in 3 months, in 6 months, in 9 months, in 12 months, in 24 months, in 36 months, in 72 months, you can look back and say, yeah, every year, every season, every month, this is happening. We're about to get into Valentine's. So if you're not writing for Valentine's in December, when it was Christmas, when you could have written for Christmas by fall, then you can see the patterns. It's literally the patterns, right? Before you know it's going to be Easter. It's going to be spring. Right now it's cold. I hope you guys are feeling warm, and I hope you guys are safe too as you're listening to this. I'm in Houston, Texas, and the sun is out now. It's getting better, but I know some places, I talked to some of our clients today and some of my friends too, they have about 12 inches of snow where they are. So I just want to make sure you guys are safe and you guys are good too. So it's different, right? And we have to think about where we are, what we're doing, where people are searching from, how people are connecting with us. It's a big deal. You know what's even crazy? Let me even say this before we go. You know what's even crazy that I just thought about? I was like, let me just tell you all this, how interconnected this is. When you start thinking about trust signals and scores, especially when it comes to email marketing, your mailbox is so important too. Because when you think about Microsoft Outlook, right? And you send an email to somebody there and your website is on Bing, is on Google, is on Perplexity, those are signals internally that are talking to each other. If you're on Google Mail or Google Workspace, that's something that's happening to ChatGPT Atlas, because YouTube owns Google, right? So if you show up on ChatGPT Atlas with a YouTube video, it means that ChatGPT knows YouTube because YouTube knows Google. And because Google knows you, Google is going to give you to ChatGPT as a result, because you show up on a website that's structured. So everything is interconnected. So don't put them apart, put them together. If you have any questions, please ask me. Now is the time. You can raise your hand. I would love to hear from you, or you can put it in the chat before we go. It's 2:10 p.m. Central, and I know you're going to listen to this probably later or earlier, but anytime you listen to this, whenever you listen to this, I hope this helps you and gives you some really good insights. So yeah, today is January 26, 2026, and I wanted to make sure that I could come and give you this information that will help you long term. I have a lot of topics to discuss, and this is just one of them. So I hope this helped you. Thank you, GB, Leslie, and Star for being here. And you could have been anywhere else, but you're here. So thank you so much. And if you'd like to connect to me, please do. The link is available at the top. If you'd like to get an audit of your website, or if you want to just connect to me, say hi, please feel free to do so. I'm also available on LinkedIn, and we can talk and have a discussion and get going. If you have any business that you'd like me to, discuss, or partnerships you'd like us to go through, I'm all open for it. If you'd like to be featured on my podcast and talk about your business, your success story, please let me know. Sharing is caring. We can't do this world alone. We need each other. So I hope this has helped you, given you more insight. And yes, all the good things are going to happen as well. So have a blessed day. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next room. Bye for now. If you have reached this point of the episode, I just want to say thank you so much for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show. I hope this has helped you, given you some insight, because every time I come on here, or anytime I bring somebody on here, a guest, a speaker, anyone that is of relevance to you listening, It's always going to give you educational value, definitely entertainment value, and most importantly, empowerment value. So thank you for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show every day. And if you want to reach out to me, you know where to find me. Click the links in the description or go to info@playinc.online, info@playinc.online, and book a call. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk SEO. Let's talk marketing. Let's talk business. Let's talk scaling. And I look forward to meeting you and learning more about you and your business. Till we meet in the next episode, have a blessed evening. Have a blessed day, night, wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now. And don't forget, Jesus loves you.